Hi, welcome to today's video. I'm Phil, and today's video we're covering getting ready to spring clean the observatory, ready for use for the spring. So we got a lot of stuff to take care of. Some of the things we've done already, we've taken the scope off. Didn't video that because the last thing most people want to see is an old guy sweating and swearing trying to lug things out the way. The mounts here, this is an Astrophysics 1600 mount. It's quite high end and it's on a pier which goes straight down through to its own separate concrete block, so it's isolated from the floor in here. One of the things we have now to check as well is we have Ethernet coming in from the house, which feeds up to here to a Linksys router, which gives us full wireless capability for the observatory. It also feeds an Ethernet switch down here, which allows the Ethernet to be fed to the mount, because some of the equipment here is actually controlled over the network from the warm room, which is over in a building on the other side there. That allows me to keep warm while the observatory is nice and cold at night. One of the first things I need to check before the new season is the alignment of the mount with relation to the sky from here. Now, one of the things I have to do is something called a polar align, and what we're doing with that is we're making sure that the mount is looking up to the pole and it's aligned correctly to allow rotation on one axis only. That way we don't get the stars moving and we don't get jumps on the stars as well in azimuth. So one of the things we'll be doing here is checking to see that this is pointing to the north, which we use a compass for, and these two screws here align that on those two rotors. Also, we need to make sure in elevation that we're at the same latitude and altitude here, which we're at 42.5 degrees, so that's adjusted. That should be about right. So with all this being set, I just have to remove this cap on the front here, on the front of the scope. This opens up the polar scope, if you look down through there, to see the sky. That then I look through on the back end here and make sure by looking through this scope here that Polaris is in the right position to ensure that the scope is aligned. I adjust these adjustments here and on the side here to raise it up, and the altitude adjustment is on the front here. If you come around the front, you'll see there's a wheel here to raise it up and down to make sure we've got this correctly locked and at the correct elevation. Before we do everything on that, I need to make sure as well that this is all level, and that's done by the nuts here with the bolts on the top on the pier plate, and by adjusting these I make sure this is all level. That's the first step. Then I do the alignment, make sure that's working. With it then correctly aligned, technically it only needs to rotate that way to make sure that we've got the sky lined up with it and tracking for videoing and imaging. The thing you don't get then is, if you've all seen the photographs where you see the point and you get the stars rotating around them, but by driving one axis you actually track your target with the scope at that point with the mount. This is the brain of the scope. It's the control box. This is an Astrophysics and it's a CP4. And Ethernet goes in here. It also supports Wi-Fi, which can be used to control things from across in the warm room. It also has a whole bunch of other stuff there. I can feed models back. This is the control for the focuser, which is on the telescope. And what that does is it'll constantly adjust the focus to make sure that we're not losing focus as the temperature varies overnight, while the scope is actually imaging a target. This is also Wi-Fi controlled. We have a workbench at the back of the observatory here. It needs tidying up at the moment. It's been used as storage through the winter. but that'll need clearing up, and that's generally used for soldering stuff or else working on parts that need to be messed with for the observatory. We've also been storing old mounts here, smaller mounts for outside use. Some are manual, some are full computerized. The roof of the observatory actually rolls off, and if you look at here, you can see the rollers where it runs in. Those I'll be greasing. I'll also be greasing, we've got a garage door opener which drives a chain which goes outside the full length. That's used to open the roof itself. So the whole roof here comes off as one complete unit. Slides over and it's got supports outside. One thing we will be doing is I'll be going through all these various adjustments on the mount one by one as we go through it, but those will be coming in additional videos. But it's reasonably straightforward. It can sound difficult, but once you see it done, it's not that big a deal.